everyone, and happy Saturday. I am excited to be here with you guys. So I'm coming a little different. So as you guys can tell, I am not home with my fabulous background. I'm coming to you guys from Comic Palooza, hanging out at the fabulous Hilton, chilling here for the event this weekend. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. So hopefully you guys having an amazing Saturday. If you are in Texas, hopefully you're not boiling to death because it's heat index like crazy. So we're trying to make the most of it. So I'm here supporting the hubby as he does Battletech. So all you Battletech fanatic who happen to be in Comic Palooza, swing by the room. I think they're in 360 and check them out. So you guys are going to have a blast. So today is an amazing day. I am doing podcasts on location. So this afternoon you guys get to meet some incredible authors. But today, remember, we're going to go back to our book reading. I'm on a mission to continue to give you guys this. So every week our goal is to kind of go through a couple of chapters. I also decided to do something a little different. I'm getting ready to actually start a whole new YouTube channels for everybody where all we're gonna do is book reading. So that way if you guys are following, you guys can kind of jump in there and just kind of get all of that in one location. So super excited. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. We are definitely live here on YouTube as well as Facebook. So if you have questions, concerns, I'm going to be looking down to make sure that I get your comments and I can kind of follow along. And we're going to get started. So for everybody who has not been with us, I am doing this Intern. So this is my award-winning novel. It's book 1 in the Intern Diary series. And it's also part of my campaign to spread joy around the world. This is 1 million free books. You can get them on books2read.com/intern. It is on the comments, so check it out. So pick up a copy. It's free everywhere. We're aiming for millions, so help me spread some joy. So that's kind of the catch for everybody, making sure my mic's still functioning. So today we're now actually joining chapter 7. If you're new, pick up the book so you can catch up. If not, go watch other videos. I did realize that Facebook kills videos after 30 days. So if you're not able to find them, go to my YouTube channel so you can catch along. So remember, I am not a professional narrator. I am an author who happens to be extremely cheesy and enjoys chit-chatting with people. So I'm super quirky, going to work on slowing down so you guys can kind of follow along with it. So be kind in the comments, give me some love, but be very gentle. Remember, this is just for fun. I'm reading my book, not trying to professionally narrate. We got amazing, talented professionals for that. So we're just reading along. Also to kind of give you an idea of what I write, so why not? It's a Saturday morning, it is gorgeous in Texas. It is a great summer read, so if you're by the pool, pick up a book or follow me along, why not? So we're in chapter 7, and what can I tell you we have been? We have introduced Isis, who is our main heroine. By the way, this is all first point of view through Isis' point eyes, so you get an insight into the world of magic. So it starts out super mundane, like this child knows nothing about it. So she accidentally off-does previous intern. Now she has the job. So 6 months after the occurrence, she is now in Texarkana, trying to mind her own business. Literally, that's all this child was trying to do. And happens to walk into a world where death knocks at her door. So we got to meet Bob, who, by the way, in chapter 6 just got kidnapped. As I've been told by the hubby, I have lots of kidnappings in my book, so he thinks I need some counseling. I don't know what he's talking about, but nor here or there. We're now picking up Isis's story, where we have met Abuelita, where she works at her restaurant. You have met Constantine, who is our 5,000-year-old talking cat, Bartholomew, our boy genius, and Bob. So Bob is now missing. So here's where we're at. Isis has watched Bob disappear into this mysteries van, and here's what we're up. So chapter 7. Remember, my chapters are super fast and super easy. So join along. Let me know what you guys think. And in between, I'm going to kind of give you some behind the scenes on the book. So hopefully you guys don't mind. So let's jump in and see what we have. So chapter 7. Texarkana was not a big city. But when you were wandering around with no clear direction, it was a huge place. The adrenaline rush had passed and I was worried to death. I drove for over an hour, going to Liberty Isle, White Village, Nash, and Beverly Heights, with no luck. My last resort was to head towards downtown. My plan was to check out the shelters, Maybe the dispatcher was right and they were family or friends. I highly doubt it, but I was out of options. I was too tired to notice how fast I was going. Granted, most minivans were not known for their speed, but they can hit 50 pretty easily. The speed limit for most of Texarkana was 40, and I had no reason to speed. It wasn't until the red and blue lights were behind me that I noticed my speed. I pulled over across Wiley Hospital on Texas Boulevard. On Sundays, this part of Texarkana was empty. Downtown was home to several court systems, the police department, the city hall, the local jail, and plenty of bail bonds. On weekends, the only people walking downtown were the cops. I took a deep breath and waited for the officer. P.S. Urban fantasy, for anybody's wondering the genre of the book. So 90 at least percent of the locations in the book are real. So if you're going downtown, or if you read the book, I'll give you a fabulous tour of the city. So check it out. So most of these places are real, so give Isis some credit of what she's going through. So kind of going along. So here we are. By the time he came over, I had my window down. Just my luck. The cop who walked to my window was gorgeous. How was that fair? He was at least 6 feet tall with muscular body and brownish hair and matching eyes. He even had a chiseled face with full lips. I saw my reflections in the mirror and I looked as if I had stuck my fingers in a light socket. My hair was a mess from all the times I had run my hands through it. I saw grease on my face. I even smelled like Mexican food. Ma'am, do you know why I stopped you? He even had a sexy, smooth voice. I wanted to smack my head on the steering wheel. I was probably speeding, officer? Why lie? Yes. Can I see your driver's and registration? I was pretty sure that was just a formality. He had probably pulled all my information while he was sitting in his car. I handed him the license and registration and waited. Isis Black? Didn't you just call 911 for an adoption? My mouth just dropped, and I nodded. I went to Abuelita's, but you were already gone. Abuelita gave me her statement. What do you think you're doing? The officer was giving me a lecture. I wasn't sure whether he was also giving me a patronizing look or a condolence. I didn't think anyone would come. I just couldn't stay there doing nothing. I didn't look at his eyes when I spoke. I felt ridiculous admitting it. Did you find anything? He was still holding my information. Besides that Texarkana is deceivably large? Not really. Unfortunately, on top of talking really fast when I got nervous, I also became a smartass. P.S. That's probably a personal note on my side, but don't tell anybody. Also gets me in trouble all the time. So here we go. Not the best idea when you're faced with police officers or doctors. He didn't look amused. No kidding. Were you care to give a statement now, or were you just planning to drive all over Texarkana? I wasn't sure whether he was being helpful or just annoying by me. I took a deep breath and related my story to Officer Hottie. My godmother always said that my downfall would be men in uniforms. I was not going to tell her she was right, but he was hot. He asked a few pertinent questions at all the right places. Do you remember what type of vehicles they were driving? He had even taken notes the whole time. One of those Dodge 16-passenger vans. The old model with the bench seats in the back. The windows were tinted to match the black paint job. It was hard to miss. Nobody drives those things anymore besides construction crews. In Texas, where everyone had a truck, vans were rare. Most families had SUVs nowadays. Okay, I'll pass this information to the other officers. He sounded genuine. I wasn't sure. Why? Do people really care if one more homeless person disappears in Texarkana? I don't know about people, but I do. I met his eyes, and they were unnerving. He had intensity that I couldn't explain. I'm sorry. I actually meant the apology. I wasn't a total ass, and I didn't want to be rude just because I was pissed. Don't be. You're upset about your friend, but you're not going to find him speeding through town, being a menace to other drivers. Go home and let us do our job. Okay, Officer Hottie was not that much older than me, maybe 4, 6 years. Why was he talking to me as if I was 5? I wanted to argue, just have the last word, but I didn't know what to say. Are you going to let me know? I was working hard to sound as innocent as possible. He shook his head and smiled. God was definitely not fair. The boy had dimples. How is that possible? Yes, I will. Give me a number where I can call you, or I'll keep you informed, and I'll keep you informed. I was speechless. I didn't want to lose my chance, so I found a scrap of paper in my glove compartments and wrote my cell phone number. I handed the paper to Officer Hottie, and he handed me back my license and registration. As soon as I find something, I'll personally let you know. Now, please head home at a reasonable speed. Leave the police work to the professionals. He was trying his best to look trustworthy and not intimidating. You're not going to give me a ticket? I was pretty sure I was missing something, and he knew something I didn't. Do you want one? Not particularly. Thank you, officer. Left my sentence to hang out because I couldn't read his name tag. Smith. That's my last name. I had a few. Let's see if I can turn the page correctly. Here we go. I had a few matrix of comments to go along with his name. I decided against them. If I was planning to leave without a ticket, I couldn't afford a ticket with my paycheck. Thank you, Officer Smith. Please call me if you find anything. He nodded and went back to his car. I had very few encounters with cops, but I was sure this one was not normal. Head home, Miss Black, and please stop drag racing on my streets. He was saying that over his shoulder. I was sort of listening, more focused on his nice ass. He was even fine from behind. I wish I had been a drag racing. That would translate to being close to finding someone. Right now, all I've done was get a warning. I was completely lost and defeated. I turned around and headed back to his home on Texas Boulevard and then turned left on New Boston Road. I was heading east on New Boston Road, or 82. Not sure why some streets in Texarkana have multiple names. At the intersection of Summer Hill and New Boston Road, instead of turning right to head home, I kept going straight. I had no idea why, but I couldn't give up so soon. I drove less than a mile and turned right at Beverly Park. Beverly Park wasn't much to look at. Right next to Big Jake's Barbecue, the so-called park was just a couple of picnic tables and benches and a small kids' playground. I remember Bob mentioning this place. He used to hang out here with an old buddy under the shady area. I drove slowly, so as not to scare anyone away. When I reached the picnic tables, I got out. The place looked empty at first glance, until I looked closely. In the back of the park, beneath the tree, was a man sitting on the ground, not moving. I prayed he wouldn't run away and that he was still alive. Truly, I wasn't sure if that was Bob's friends, but I needed to try. By the time I reached him, I noticed he wasn't going anywhere. He was sleeping against a tree, holding a paper bag. I couldn't tell what was inside the bag, but I had a few guesses. The man looked frail. The sun still had a few hours before it set, but the shadows gave the man a sicklish look. He didn't look very tall. 5'4" tops, and maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. I leaned down to tap his foot. Who are you? What do you want? The little guy screamed before I could even touch him. He startled me so bad I fell on my butt. The little man looked crazy with wild eyes. I was waiting for him to start yelling, "My precious!" I was beginning to question my decisions to come. This man looked insane. I'm sorry, sir. I'm friends with Bob. I was trying to sit down without attracting too much attention. Didn't want him to do anything crazy like stab me or bite me. He was up on his feet faster than I believed it. Liar. Bob has no friends. You here to take me? I guess he had whiskey in the bag because I smell it on his breath. No, sir. I'm not here to take you. But some people took Bob this afternoon. That hit him hard, and he stopped moving. I took advantage of his confusion and stood up. At least I could look him in the eyes now. I told him to stop asking questions, and he wouldn't listen. He's just like all of the rest. Was it the alcohol talking or what? I wasn't following the conversation. Sir, do you know who took Bob? Please, God, let this crazy drunk guy be semi-coherent. The witches took him. Like they took all the young and healthy ones. I told him to stop asking questions and stay in his lane, but he just couldn't do it. The little man was pacing back and forth with his arms outstretched. My prayer had failed because that made no sense. He continues his rambling campaign. They don't want me because I'm old, but nobody's safe now. I'm sorry, but do you know who else is missing? I was talking to him as if he were a 5-year-old. Please help me. I need to find Bob. Girl, he's gone. Let him go. Nobody comes back after they take him. His words chilled me to the core. Those were the first sober words he said. He delivered them without judgment or fear, just stated a fact. Do you know where they took him? Please help me. My voice was shaky and broken. Shh. Stay away, girl. Before I could say or do anything, he took off. How could a drunk man move so fast? That didn't even make any sense. I had no idea where he was heading, but I knew I was not getting anything else out of him. I hated feeling helpless. I was overwhelmed, and there was nothing I could do. But Bob was missing, and I had no way to find him. The old crazy guy was even less helpful. On top of that, my own clock was ticking. Death needed my answer by tomorrow. My boring and complicated life was destroyed. I needed to pack up and leave this place. By the sound of the crazy old guy, I was never going to find Bob anyways. I wiped my eyes and brushed off dirt from my clothes. If I stayed here any longer, I could pass for one of the homeless. It was a hot mess. I smeared dirt all over my face by accident. It was a blessing I didn't wear makeup, or that should have made it worse. I slowly pulled myself into the whale and headed home. This weekend was ranking in the top 3 of my list of horrible disasters. I just wanted to crawl into bed and forget this whole mess. All right, my friends. So we are now finished chapter 7, and I'm going to tell you, since I said I was going to give you a whole bunch of little secrets behind the scenes. When I first started writing the book, my goal was to do 40 chapters of That's what we committed to doing, and I needed to kind of figure it out. So I write very quick action scenes, as you guys can tell, and things move very quickly through the book. So my goal was each chapter to be about 2,000 words. So as I was writing this, I found myself with not enough words, and I'm like, okay, God, how are we going to make these chapters to be 2,000 words? So the idea of Isis going to check these locations felt natural, like she needed to go find Bob. So this crazy character that she just met was a little bit of an accident, I'm gonna have to say, who has now become a huge part of the story. So stay along and see if you can kind of see where this little guy on the floor, a little drunk, a little, I don't know, lost in his thoughts with humanity and, you know, the solution for everything, has become a major player. So keep in mind, because he's going to come back and then he's going to be a huge part of the series. So little hints. So now we're going to go to chapter 8, because I think we're going to do 7 and 8. We're going to do 2 chapters and kind of going from there. So let's do the thing. Are you guys ready? So chapter 8, we're doing That's Intern. This is my award-winning book. It is book 1 of the Intern Diary series. This is where you get to introduce Isis, death, and all the fun. So let's see what my poor girls have to, because Isis is not doing good, but she's trying. Just give her some things. It's been 2 days only. We already have a missing person. So let's see what we have. On Sunday evening, I normally brought my dinner home. It was a good thing I wasn't hungry because I forgot to pick up food today. Fixing meals for one person was more trouble than it was worth. The creation process relaxed me, but the cleanup was too much pain afterwards. My fridge always had the basics: milk, bread, cheese, deli meat, eggs, butter, and some condiments. I could always make a sandwich and not starve. For anybody who's ever had to cook for one person, trust me, this is a reality. Sometimes it's like, where's the cereal box, and save yourself. So Isis and I could relate, at least when I was single. So here we go. After the insane day I had, I just wanted to disappear. My shoulders were tight, and I could feel the muscles in my lower back knotting up. On warm days, I prefer cold showers. Today, I wanted a blistering hot bath. My bathtub was small, but it would do the trick. Fill it up with as much hot water as I could handle. I pour in 2 cups of Epsom salts and some lavender oils. I climb in the tub, and the heat from the water boiled my legs. With baths, the worst part was always getting in. After a few minutes, the body adjusted. I was relieved to have something else to think about, at least for a few minutes. Tears were rolling down my face, but this time I let them. Maybe that was the only way to empty myself and let go. An hour later, I crawled into bed, wearing a large nightgown, a purple and yellow one my grandmother had sent me last year. She had an obsession with nightgowns. Somehow she thought the rest of the world had one. On days like this, I really missed her. Unfortunately, if I call, she would immediately know something was wrong. I didn't need any more people worry. I drifted off to sleep. It was late afternoon and I was standing in the middle of the road. The car was wrapped around a tree. Fumes were coming out from under the hood. It took me a minute, but I knew I was dreaming. It was a weird sensation knowing the place was not real, but not being able to wake up. I've been having this dream most of my life, or more accurately, this nightmare. I was 6 then, watching my parents die inside the vehicle, too young to help. I was told that the impact had thrown me off the car. Isis, don't cry. You're not alone. I looked up and saw my mother standing over me. I couldn't remember much of her, but I could see her clearly. Today, her dark hair was wrapped in a bun on top of her head. She wore no makeup, but her eyes had a natural outline that made the almond shape stand out even more. She wore a white shirt and jeans, and she smelled like jasmine. My mother had a light tan, and she was beautiful. Mom, please don't leave me again. I reached for her, but couldn't touch her. I was crying. Baby, you're stronger than you think. Don't be afraid. I'm always with you. She kissed my forehead. I closed my eyes to take it all in. That part was new. I've never seen my mother in dreams in this dream. I always ended alone and small. I opened my eyes, and I was no longer standing in the middle of the road. I was in Fallujah, Iraq. I was wearing my military uniform, including my Kevlar. I closed my eyes, forcing the dream to change again. Nothing happened. I was still in Iraq, watching the inevitable. My heart was pounding, and my hands were sweating. I waved my hands as the convoy passed by me. Like clockwork, the gunfire started. The drivers performed defensive maneuvers, and instead of avoiding the incoming danger, they drove, without knowing, directly into the IED. No, please stop, I was screaming on the top of my lungs. One helmet had flipped over. I saw myself pulling the dead body of my friend out. I was holding Sergeant Richardson's body. And this is one of those parts of it. As a writer, it's amazing to write and to kind of let your feelings through. Reading this out loud is a little bit more painful than I imagined, so bear with me. So some things are harder to do, especially if you happen to have some history. So we're going to kind of like let all that pass. So here we go. Isis, let me go. It wasn't your fault. Sergeant Richardson was standing next to me on the side of the road, smiling. That boyish smile played on his face as he spoke. We were band people. We had no right to be in a convoy, but we were soldiers first. Everything else was second. The pain was too intense. I fell to my knees, and more tears kept coming. He never said those words to me. What was going on? For over a year now, I'd been having this nightmare. Why was it different? I kept trying to wake up, but I couldn't. I could smell the blood on me. I closed my eyes and sobbed. Ah! I knew where I was before I opened my eyes. The cry was imprinted in my memory. This time I was back in Brooklyn, staring down the fire escape. The mangled body of the intern lay on the ground. He wasn't moving. Oh God, please let him be okay. Please make this stop, God. I begged God and all of the saints. I was flying down the stairs with my dream self. This time, the intern was sitting up looking at me when I reached him. You need to get a hold of yourself. Learn to control your emotions and forgive yourself, or you will go crazy. The intern vanished. Wait, come back. What was going on? I started having a panic attack. It was too late, and I was already going crazy. Let me out, I screamed. My screams woke me up. I was covered in sweat, staring straight up at my bed. Oh God, help me. He's trying to help you. Maybe you should let him. The voice came from the corner of my room. Holy cow! I screamed at the top of my lungs. I pulled my sheets over me. If they were going to save me, I wasn't judging my courage. Trust me, at 2 a.m, nobody's brave. From the shadow, death appeared. She sat in the driver's and director's chairs I had in my room. She made it look like an executive chair with an incredible grace. She crossed her legs. How did you get in? Death arched an eyebrow and smiled. Okay, so I was a little slow in the middle of the night. Not my fault. Do you honestly think doors and law can stop me? Good point. Disregard that question. Why are you here? I wasn't sure whether I was ready to hear the answer to that. Dreams can be powerful tools. At times, those who have passed have used them to communicate with the living. Your subconscious is more open to the supernatural during sleep, especially now that you have been blessed by me, Death said, as if it actually made sense. I'm not sure if your definition of blessing is the same. Not sure my definition of blessing is the same as yours. What do you mean at times? What about the rest of the time? I had bad dreams with people who weren't dead. Were they foretelling my future? I hope not. The rest are just random thoughts running through your mind. Some people have gone mad trying to interpret them all, looking for meaning in the nonsense. She was not offended by my comment. Great. So I'm dreaming or awake? Death gave me that knowing smile. You tell me. Definitely awake. In my dreams, I would have been getting a lecture or intimidated into working for you. I was feeling brave or just too tired to care. Sorry to disappoint you, dear. I don't need to terrorize anyone to work for me. I'm just following one of your laws. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Oh, great. Death was pouring Newton on me. It was either way too early or too late for this. So, if you're not here about the offer, why are you here? This was the longest day ever. You called me. Death was serious, and I was speechless. I did what? No way! I was officially crazy. You wish you would die and quiet the voices. Death inclined her head and waited for my answer. Okay, hold up. A lot of people say things like that. Do you appear to everyone who mutters that statement? Only for those who put actions behind the words. But you are different. I have a link to you, so your voice is a lot clearer. Didn't Constantine tell you not to call on me? Rule number 3, remember? Was she serious? Constantine had explained rule number 3 very well. I have a feeling he forgot to tell me why. I'm sure I'll remember if he mentioned that death will appear. I needed to have a few words with that furball. Strange things happen when I'm around. It would be unfortunate if you call me in a crowded room and people were randomly starting to have strokes and heart attacks. The body's a complicated machine and reacts differently in my presence. Death technically did not kill people, but some just managed to die when she was around. Good to know. Don't call death at a hospital. Check. Okay, I'm not planning to kill myself. I just had a really long day. Not to mention, I haven't slept since I met you. But who was keeping track of that? I'm glad. But you still need to control your dreams and put some barriers around yourself. If you're not planning to stay at the safe house, at least get this place blessed. Death looked around the room with a measuring air. Tell me, Isis, what is your purpose in life? That's ironic coming from Death. Do you need a purpose in life? Didn't want to answer this line of questioning. At some point in your life, you will need to stop running. According to your faith, God won't make things easy, but they will be possible. Your martyrs claim those who don't stand for something will fall for anything. That sounded like a college professor delivering a well-rehearsed lesson. Well, I might be dreaming after all. You're lecturing me. Death smiled. Not lecturing, Isis. Just pointing out that you're not living. Just waiting to die. Just pointing out that when things get tough, you run. How long has death been watching me? Just because you're death, that doesn't mean you know me. You don't know how it feels when everyone you love dies around you. Now, child, don't give yourself that much credit. That's my job, remember? Oh God, I had no arguments about losing people when death was the one talking to them. She knew exactly how I felt because she had to make the deliveries herself. His eyes shone with understanding. I'm a jackass. I dropped my head down and slumped on the bed. At times your mouth moves faster than your brain. She was laughing at me. Wisdom comes with age. Remember that. Yes, master. Death gave me an interesting smile. I haven't been called that in years. Of course. Back then, it had less sarcasm. Damn, she didn't miss a thing. Isis, I'm offering you an opportunity to make amends for your mistakes and to find purpose in your life. Isn't that why you joined the military? To do something great? I was fidgeting with my fingers. I wasn't sure how to reply, so I listened. Ask yourself what brought you to Texarkana. The spirits have been calling you. Why have you followed? Wait, hey, wait a minute. Nobody has influenced me. It's just like it here. That sounded weak even to me. I honestly had no idea what had drawn me here. I just known that I needed to come. You're intuitive and gifted. Your skills, if your development, could serve a greater purpose. You could save your friend and many other souls. Right now, you're wasting away in this dump. That how you want to spend your life? Death did not fight fair. It wasn't sure I was ashamed or angry. You trying to guilt me into accepting? No, Isis. Just telling you the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. You must face it. Didn't want to face any truth till now was not just a river in Egypt. For me, I spent a lot of time there. Death rose from the chair and walked over to my bed. What are you doing? I pushed myself as far away from her as possible. I'm going to help you. She was standing over me. Listen, lady, last time you kissed me, I was seeing all sorts of crazy things. I don't need a replay of things. I was barely able to open and close my third eye. Another kiss may go supernova and never close it. Shh, Isis, you need sleep. With that, she patted my head. I wasn't sure what death did to me, but it was as if 100 pounds. It was as if a 100-pound sack was lifted from me. I took a breath and fell asleep. Okay, my friends, that is the end of chapter 8. We'll be back next week for 9 and 10. See how we like the book. If you are new and interested in picking it up directly and just not waiting for me to finish butchering my own book, pick up a copy of Das Intern. It is available everywhere for free. Help me give away 1 million books. Help me also spread some joy around. Join the madness and the fun. For those of you new, I am DC Gomez, the author of this book. I am also a podcaster and a motivation speaker. So hopefully you guys are enjoying some fun urban fantasy Saturday morning. You can catch the rest of them and just kind of get your binge on or watch the rest of the video. So thank you for joining me, guys, and have an amazing Saturday. Bye.